intercept form. Okay, it's in the title, it's on the front, that's what we're doing. Okay, and it's in the form of, if I were to write the general formula, I write y equals what? mx plus b. What does our m mean? Slope. What's our b? Y-intercept. Okay, so you do this the exact same as the other one. On the other ones, right, you always write down the y-intercept first, and then you find the slope. The same rule still applies here. We graph the y-intercept first, and then the slope. Okay, so we're going to graph our y-intercept, which is at 3. So go to 3 and put a dot.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, and then our slope is 4. And we know slope as rise over run. So if the number's 4, like that part I know that you guys got, the number's 4, right? Any number you can write over what?
1.
Over 1. Okay, so if you think about it, what's 4 divided by 1? Well, it's still 4. Okay, so I can write this as 4 over 1. So I rise 4 and I run 1. Okay, so go through and count. 1, 2, 3. Well, can I go up 4?
No.
I can't. But that's why I told you up and down, it doesn't make a difference.
Down.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and I need to run 1. So do I go back or forward?
Back.
Forward.
So, and that's where it gets a little bit tricky with the positive and the negative. Now,
No. You go backwards because then it makes it positive.
What did you say?
so we do want to go backwards because that's going to make our line positive. So it's kind of like, if you go down, it's almost like you have to do the opposite. Because normally I tell you to count the slope from the lowest point up to the highest point. But if we would do that, we would rise 4 and we would run 1. And that's how we got that positive slope. Okay, so you really have to pay attention to when you have to go down. If you're forced to go down, then you gotta go down. But if you don't have to, then I would suggest going up. Okay, and then we can just connect our lines. Huh?
Can you go either way?
Not left and right.
No, I'm saying if you can go up and down, can
Yes.
you go either way?
Yes. You can go up or down. That doesn't dictate. It's the left or right. So you really got to think about, is my slope positive or negative? If I make it go to the left, what's it going to do? If I make it go to the right, what's it going to do? Okay, so 22, same thing. What do we graph first?
The slope. Oh, the y-intercept.
The y-intercept, which is what?
2.
2, so we can put that on there. And then what's our slope?
4 over 5.
4 over 5. So we got to rise 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on these ones, you can even practice because I think that it will help you. Do we need another point? Not really, but you could do that and go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and not only is that going to give you a better line for a better picture, but that kind of lets you start to think about, well, what happens when I go down? Okay, well, when I go down, I need to go this way. And when I go up, I need to go this way. Okay, and that's really going to help because some of you guys, I guarantee you, if you are only forced to go down, and that's the only way that you can go, it starts to screw you up about what your line should look like. Okay, and so here we got this beautiful line. I feel like I could be one of those TV people like this, like the jewelry, like early in the morning. Just, in case you guys ever make me want to quit my career, my day job. I always got that for a backup. Okay, so 23. What do I graph first?
The y-intercept.
The y-intercept, which is
4.
4. And my slope is what?
Negative 3
over 1.
Negative 3 over 1 or negative 3. Can I rise 3?
No.
I can't, so I gotta go down. So 1, 2, 3. And which way do I go?
Left.
I'm getting mixed answers.
Right.
Okay, my slope is negative, so which way should my line look like?
To the left. To the right.
It should be pointing.
Ma'am.
Wouldn't it be a negative fraction?
I don't
so
understand.
we
The
could-
bottom right corner to the top left corner.
Okay, so It's kind of like doing the opposite. Okay? So,
Alright.
which sucks because it's like, normally I say, well, go with your gut, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta do the opposite of whichever way. And we really want our line to look like a negative. But the problem is that, I think, me personally, comes with time. So the more that you do algebra, the more you can look at a slope and identify, because slope, some people say like, oh, going up the mountain, but it depends how each person views that mountain. Okay, so,
You know, there's another way that can maybe think of it too. Think about your bus ride to get to school. You're here now, but if you wanna trace how you got here, you're gonna go the opposite way. So when you said, yeah, it's like going the opposite way, that's how you figure the slope. You have to think of where you were in the beginning. You gotta go opposite. So don't doubt yourself, it's okay.
But wait, wouldn't it still be a -1? Since it's a negative fraction?
so fractions, we can look at, there's three ways that you could write that fraction, right? 3/1. You could say the -3, or you could say -3/1 where it's right in front of the fraction, or you could say -3, oops, I was trying to erase with my finger like this is gonna do something. -3/1 with the negative on the bottom. Those are all equivalent. But if I keep that negative with the 3, and then I also put one on the 1, what's a negative and a negative?
A positive.
Which we don't want, because our slope is given that it's a negative. You cannot do that, because when you say the fraction, you would say -3/1. If I read this fraction, -3/1, we never read a fraction as 3/-1. That's not how we read fractions typically. Okay, and because we made it, we kind of finagled it and made it into a fraction, the number is -3, but it doesn't really matter where we put that negative at. With the slope, it doesn't dictate or change anything where I put the negative. So, could the 1 technically be negative? Yeah, but then the 3 can't be. Because when you divide that out, what is 3 divided by 1? It's 3. But if you put both of these in negative, -3 divided by -1 is +3, and that's not the answer or the piece that we were given. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. It's confusing once you make something a fraction, and then when we're going the other direction, it's like we want to put that negative, but there's already one, and so. Okay, so if we do 24, okay, same thing. So our intercept is at -2. Okay, and we can rise or run, it doesn't matter. 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. Okay, and I put these on here intentionally because I really want you to see, well, our slopes are the same on these two lines. The only thing that has changed is the y-intercept, which is our starting point. Okay, and the thing that I always kind of relate that to is money. Okay, so when you were talking about salaries or jobs, okay, sometimes some people start out at $5 an hour and some people start out at $10 an hour. But based on how frequently you get a raise, one can surpass the other very quickly. Okay, there, I'm gonna do one more on the back, which is 27. Okay, so 27, what is our y-intercept?
1,
If there's nothing there, what is it?
0.
It's a 0. Okay, and this is where I think math is so crazy. I swear to you. So if there's nothing there, our y-intercept is 0. But if there's nothing in front of the x, what is it? It's a 1. And so that's where I really hate some of the verbiage, okay? So if there's nothing in front of the x, it's a 1. If there's nothing else attached to it, it's a 0. Okay, so our y-intercept is 0. Our slope is what? 1 over 1, which means up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Okay, it's going to be all these ones on the equal crosshairs. And on most of these, you should have, well, on all of these, you should have at least 2 points graphed. Okay, at least 2 points that I can see, because otherwise, then that means you either only graph the y-intercept and no slope. You should have, I don't care, other than that, I don't need you to draw all those little points like I did, okay? And your line doesn't need to be perfect, and I don't need you to use a ruler or anything crazy, but you should have clearly I can see 2 points on here that you have graphed, okay, on every single problem. Because then I know that you did your slope, you did your y-intercept, okay? The rest of the sheet is for you. I would really start back on the front of writing and getting used to that slope-intercept form. And then on the next page, obviously looking at it, being able to identify it, because graphing is probably the hardest, okay? And that's just my personal opinion, but graphing is definitely the hardest part, I think. And it's just because of the negatives and the positives and going backwards, you really have to visually think about what's going on. All right?